Yo, how's it going everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is LionHeartZ and today we have a problem. Now, as I've professed before and shown through my devout studies that I am a true Inferno believer. I've devoted myself at the altar of Inferno. I've become a member of the monastery. I've preached the teachings of Inferno over the years and I've been nothing if not a devout acolyte of what is, in my opinion, the greatest map in esports history. There is something mystical, magical, and absolutely perfect about Inferno in Counter-Strike. It is the best competitive map ever made. It is perfect every single time. It's been classic in many esports matches over the years. But going into CS2, there's an issue. Something has changed with my beloved Bayferno, and I can feel it because once again, I know every nook and cranny of her so well that I can tell, I can feel, I can smell the differences in the current version versus what we used to have. And I think it's borne out also in the statistics. Something has gone wrong here, and Valve has made changes to Inferno that resulted in it becoming a much worse overall map, and dare I say a much less fun map to play overall. So today, we're going to go over what's changed, what's happened, and why Inferno is slowly becoming the most CT-sided map in the game. So if that interests you at all, make sure you guys take a second and leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content coming your way. Many of you who watch these videos are not already subscribed, so make sure you do so. And make sure you check them out on Twitch every single night, live between 8 and 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Links down below. Let's get right into the video. Alright, so obviously, coming into CS2, Inferno received a complete facelift and overhaul. Alongside every other map in the game, obviously the biggest change was the skyboxes were opened up, so you can throw grenades anywhere across the map from any spot. Whereas previously, there was a huge dead zone over the center of the map, where if you wanted to say throw a smoke from alternate mid T side to CT B site, you couldn't do that, but now you can. This has completely changed how we look at the Inferno meta, developing many new smokes, molotovs, and grenade lineups that have revolutionized how we play the map. And that's actually a good thing, I'm not opposed to that. But this is not the only change. While the layout is exactly the same, if you compare old Inferno to new Inferno, you can see a glaring issue. Now we're going to go ahead and show some side-by-side footage. First, here's walking from T-spawn to B on old Inferno. Now, here's that same walk-up in CS2. Now let's pause here right at the bottom of Banana and let's look at these two images side by side. Now remember, this is like an eyesight test. I need you to tell me the difference between picture 1 and picture 2. First, picture 1, then picture 2. Picture 1, picture 2. Do you guys see the difference? Old Inferno is significantly wider in its hallways than the new Inferno. And this may not seem like a big change, but with nades being stronger in CS2, especially frag grenades, the amount of utility damage potential has gone through the roof, especially when it comes to the CTs taking map control away from the T side. This has resulted in a few things. It's like a ripple effect. The hallways are narrower, it's easier to throw smokes from across the map, and it's much more consistent to get damage out of molotovs and frag grenades. This puts a lot more oppression on the T side early into the rounds, whereas previously, Ts could take map control early on, and while yes, you had to be worried about grenades down banana, sometimes grenades down mid, you didn't have to worry about CTs smoking mid and taking all mid control, or instantly smoking bottom of banana at the beginning of the round and taking full banana control like you do now. Right now, and we've covered this in another video, CTs are able to cut the map essentially in half at the beginning of the round and lock the Ts into all mid in their spawn. This doesn't happen always at the lower levels of the game, but at the pro level, it's been extremely oppressive and has resulted in that big CT-sided slant. But we still see some microcosm ripple down into the average play that me and you deal with. Mainly, again, that grenade chip damage. Now this is admittedly anecdotal, but I believe that Inferno probably has the highest average utility damage of any map in the game right now, because I don't know about you guys, but when I load up my T-side Inferno, I am taking chip damage almost every single round if I'm trying to play for mid or banana control. The only surefire way to not be hit by grenades right now is to go alt mid. And it's not like you can just ignore mid or B control when you're on the T side. That's a huge concession of map control to the counter-terrorists. So you have to peek mid, you have to peek banana, and whereas before, the corridors were bigger so it was a lot easier to dodge grenades or take minimal chip damage, it feels like now, CTs don't have to do much to inflict 30, 40, or even just 20 damage with one grenade onto one person, and sometimes it's a lot more than that when you start stacking grenades. And banana may not even be the worst offender of this. If you're familiar with CSGO's version of Inferno, it was not very common at all for CTs to throw nades down mid at the beginning of the round, except for maybe an eco push. But now, the narrower corridors mean that it's a lot easier to actually get grenade damage on players who are at the top of stairs looking into banana at the beginning of the round. So throwing one nade down mid if you're a CT player playing arch side is actually very high value. And once again, this just adds on to that insane amount of chip damage that CTs have access to. The narrow corridors also mean that Molotovs are a lot higher value than they used to be, as essentially there's no way to dodge them and you're forced to smoke them out every time now, or wait behind them for them to dissipate. You also can't do stuff like maybe hide in tree and dodge Molotovs like you could in the past. Now keep in mind that all of this is despite there being a huge T-side advantage in the game right now. As we just covered recently on the channel, League Above, the Ts have a massive advantage in economy, average access to firepower, and they get to continue to buy more than CTs do in general. That means that right now, for a map to be CT-sided, the map needs to be a goddamn fortress. The only other significantly CT-sided map in the pool right now is Overpass, and that makes a lot of sense. Overpass has some of the hardest to execute sites in the entire game, so it makes sense that the Ts tend to struggle on that map. But the beauty of Inferno, and why Inferno has been so good for so long, is that it was an equal opportunity map for so long. Let's think about what old Inferno used to be like. Old Inferno had lanes that were very easy for the CTs to set up chokeholds on. I'm talking about B, banana, mid, towards A. But the drawback was, if you lost control of a site, the retakes on Inferno were some of the hardest in the entire game. A site notoriously being the hardest retake in the entirety of Counter-Strike. So the trade-offs were, CTs could hold and make it really hard for the Ts, but the Ts were smart, they executed good strategy, they used their utility well. T-sides that got control of the bomb sites had huge turnovers on those rounds as compensation for it being harder to get on the site in general. But now, in CS2, that balance is not the same. Not only is it still really hard for Ts to get control of the map, they now get even less map control, they're working with even less to begin with, and they're taking more chip round over round from utility, making it even harder for Ts to get their foot in the door. Now those retakes are still just as hard when the Ts do get bomb site control, but just getting to the point of getting on the bomb sites is so much more difficult than it used to be because of how much narrower the hallways are. I think this has made Inferno significantly less fun to play, as the CT's rounds just feel so oppressive and makes the T side way less fun than it used to be. I think they need to go back and re-widen these corridors, at least on banana, and even though it's against the theme of what they've changed with CS2, I do think they should consider putting some of the skybox restrictions back in place for Inferno specifically. The ability to smoke the bottom of banana and the bottom of mid from CT spawn at the beginning of a round is insanely strong. No other map has that to that extent, because a lot of other maps do not focus on the mid control in the way that Inferno does. Inferno is a very unique map in terms of its layout, where the other 4 square style maps like Dust Tomb, Mirage, losing mid is not as detrimental on those types of layouts, but the triangular layout of Inferno is such that if you lock down mid or you lock down banana, you're basically cutting the map in half. And that's very detrimental to the Ts, as I've already discussed. So I think that that ability could be restricted without it being that harmful to the map meta, because the CTs still have a lot of advantages going their way, but being able to lock off that much of the map right away might be too strong. But hey, that is just my opinion. Make sure you guys let me know what you think about current Inferno in the comments down below. I'll be there responding as usual. Make sure you like the video and subscribe as well. Like I said in the beginning, a lot of you are not subscribed. The channel's been doing super well lately. Big thank you to everyone watching, but make sure you click that button for more content coming your way. And check me out on Twitch every night, 8 to 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And yeah, I'll catch you guys soon with another video.